My name is Ram Mudambi, and I'm the Frank M. Speakman Professor of Strategy at Temple University and a co-editor of the Global Strategy Journal, published by the Strategic Management Society. I'm going to talk today about the challenges faced by the field of global strategy in this very turbulent time for the world economy. I'm going to summarize these challenges under what I call three megatrends. And these three megatrends are, first of all, the change of the nature of global trade from what we used to be the trade in goods to trade in activities. Simply speaking, this means that what used to happen 50 or 60 years ago was in individual locations produced entire goods. In Sweden, for example, you might produce cars. In Portugal, you might produce wine. In Hollywood, you might produce movies. The new world of trade and activities means that we have each one of these goods has been sliced into narrower and narrower specialized activities which are globally distributed, so that high knowledge activities like R&D and development remain in rich countries, whereas low knowledge activities like assembly and manufacturing often migrate to poor economies. This means that the final value proposition that you see, whether it's a car or whether it's a movie or whether it's even a t-shirt, is the product of the interaction of activities undertaken around the world in a process which is orchestrated by big firms which we call multinational enterprises. So this creates the first big megatrend and therefore a challenge and an opportunity for multinational enterprises. The second big megatrend is the rise of digitalization and miniaturization. What this is doing is it is leading to a decline in spatial transaction cost. This simply means that the cost of undertaking business transactions over enormously large geographic distances have been falling precipitously. This makes it possible, therefore, as you can see, with the first megatrend, it makes it possible for the first megatrend to happen. In other words, the global value chain can be distributed over large distances because the cost of doing so has been falling precipitously. The third megatrend is the rise of emerging markets. What we mean here is giant emerging markets. We're not now talking about smaller countries like Singapore or Taiwan. We're talking about countries like China and India, home to billions of people and trillions of dollars of value creation. In these large giant economies, they can therefore support huge firms that grow to incredible size within their national borders without venturing abroad. So the first time Western multinational companies come into contact with many of these enterprises from these giant economies, they're already enormously big. This creates a third, obviously, a very strong and important challenge for global strategies for these firms. The final point I would like to make is all of these three megatrends are accentuated by connectivity across locations. And connectivity across locations, in other words, every large firm nowadays, whether it's Siemens or from Germany or whether it's Huawei from China, orchestrates a network of value creation which is global in nature, embedded in dozens and dozens of different locations, both for R&D and high knowledge value creation, as well as marketing and downstream market value creation. The connectivity of these networks, these global networks, appears to us in two generic forms. One generic form is what we call organizational connectivity. In other words, the term often used in the academic literature is pipelines. We have connections from one location to another, from one subsidiary of Siemens, for example, to another subsidiary of Siemens. This is an organizational pipeline connecting, for example, Shanghai with Stuttgart. The second form of connectivity is through personal relationships, individuals who connect with each other, often through things like diaspora networks, the Chinese overseas diaspora, the Indian overseas diaspora. And these diaspora networks are sources of new firms, global startups, which occur by connecting capabilities, resources, and even financing from multiple locations. This complex world of turbulence creates an ecosystem of giant firms interacting with small startups on the global stage and an enormous diversity, cultural and resource complexity. Global managers today are truly faced with perhaps challenges unprecedented in their complexity, scale, and implications.